And then Rico Bronya. The middle three, Bobby Bonilla, Jeff Kent, and Todd Hundley. The bottom three, Chris Jones, Ryan Thompson, and then Bret Saberhagen.
And the pitching stats are brought to you by starter John Burkett. It's his 12th game, a 5-6 record, 5.31 earned run average. He's pitched 62 2/3 innings, giving up 69 hits, walking 21, and striking out 43.
And a defense for the Marlins. Brought to you by the United States Postal Service. Colburn, Averis, Abbott, and Pendleton in the infield. Left to right in the outfield, Conine, Carr, and Dawson. Johnson behind the plate. And the umpires in tonight's ball game. Big John McSherry, 25th year as an umpire. He's a real good umpire. Charlie Williams at first base. Larry Vanover in his 3rd year at second base. And Ed Montague, close personal friend of Todd Hundley's, at third base. Although, Mr. Staub, I would say that arguments are forgotten by umpires, or are they?
Well, again, professional umpires, you can have a problem and it's going to be forgotten. Okay, the good umpires, that's the way it is. Umpires have emotions and feelings just like anybody else, and they've had a rough day with somebody. They're not going to forget it. Okay, which means they probably are not going to take any ultimate grief from that person again in any short period of time.
Well, Ed Montague's in his ball game, so is Todd Hundley. Todd Hundley with a big hit in last night's ball game. Also caught a masterpiece from Bill Pulsford. John Franco getting the save. But it's a new beginning as Joe Orsulak steps in. Orsulak batting .314, no home runs, 14 RBIs, a terrific 4th outfielder. And he takes a strike from John Burkett. Burkett features an out pitch. It's a palm ball. He also throws 2 types of fastballs. To a left-hander, he'll run the fastball at him and he'll run back out over the plate. Orsulak fouls that fastball off. That's the other fastball. He'll stay away from the left-hander. He used to feature, Rusty, you remember John Burkett when he pitched to Roger Craig? All the pitchers had a mess with the split finger fastball. That was one of his out pitches, but it hurt his arm. Fouled back.
And when it hurts your arm, you kind of put it in your back pocket and you don't use it anymore.
John Burkett has thrown 5 perfect games. Right there he misses with the breaking ball. Orsulak getting out of the way, so it's 1-2. Those 5 perfect games were in bowling. Now watch him throw to the plate. Watch him set up as he's going to the plate, just like he's bowling. Fouled off by Orsulak. So we'll do it again in 1-2.
Now you could have a bowling ball in that glove right there, where he was leaning over. A lot of those guys, that little hunch over like they're setting up. I don't think he could throw that bowling ball overhanded.
I believe he wants to try the Pro Bowlers Tour someday, but he's doing well in baseball. 1-2 pitch. Up high, 2-2. Burkett not overpowering. I'd rather face a guy that's not overpowering. I don't know about you, Rusty, although nobody gave you trouble as Orsulak takes outside 3-2. Some guys like the hard throwers.
I like the hard throwers. I like the guys that like to try to throw it by you.
My knees kind of shook when I had to face a hard thrower. And the 3-2 pitch. There's that fastball. He threw it at him. Joe Orsulak backed away. Came over the plate. 1 down.
When you give up on it, you kind of give up on it mentally too. And you don't realize how much the ball is coming back. See where the glove is set up? That ball right back in there. That's just a terrific pitch by Burkett.
Give a lot of credit to Johnson also, the way he set up the target, pulled that ball in. So 1 gone. Jose Vizcaino steps in to face John Burkett. Vizcaino fouls the first pitch off. So it's 0-1 on the Mets shortstop. Vizcaino batting .261, home run, 21 RBIs. The Mets are comfortable against Burkett, Rusty.
There it is. Lots of big average. How about Kent? .438.
Vizcaino fouls it off. 0-2.
Check at him. I mean, Hundley's down on the pack and he's at .313. Vizcaino, Bonilla, Thompson, Bronya.
6 guys over 300. How about that? And as you mentioned, Kent over 400. Burkett ready to bowl. Vizcaino said, what's he doing? What Burkett wanted right there was another sign from Charles Johnson. Johnson, fine young defensive catcher with the Marlins. As Vizcaino takes down low 1-2. It's funny talking about Johnson. I had a conversation with Joe McIlvaine, who is the general manager of the Mets and also goes out and scouts a lot of the minor leagues. There's that fastball again, and Vizcaino strikes out. 2 down.
Same pitch. Just say ditto. Here it comes. Tailing fastball on the inside corner. There's a good view of it here. Right back. That's got even more of the plate.
Keep in mind he sets it up with that palm ball. So they're 2 men gone. The batter, Rico Brogna, batting .289, 8 home runs, 28 RBIs. Surprisingly, leads the Mets in strikeouts.
Yes, he does. And they have worked him hard inside. A lot of the clubs have seen him hit the ball out over the plate, and more of them are making him aware inside. And then the pitches outside have become more effective.
So 2-0 on Rico Brogna. There's that fastball coming back again. 2-1. I mentioned Charles Johnson, the catcher. Joe McIlvaine said he watched him play in Portland, Maine last year in AA ball. Wasn't impressed with his defensive skills. He said he's improved 1,000% behind the plate. There's the palm ball. 2-2. They are setting up the hitter so far in this game. Very good.
And he's got it set up to throw that pitch one more time. It's worked twice. Watch Johnson.
Oh, that ball just missed. 3-2 on Rico Brogna. Now, will he go back with that fastball again?
I'll tell you what, if we're umpiring here, I'm hammering somebody.
Once again, Charles Johnson doing a nice job catching that ball. Swung and missed. How about that? 3 up, 3 down, 3 strikeouts. As Burkett pulls a perfect string right there, striking out the side. We played a half inning, no score here at Joe Robbie Stadium. We go to the bottom of the first inning here at Joe Robbie Stadium. The Marlins coming to bat. We'll check out their batting order, brought to you by your Tri-State Ford dealers. Kilvio Veras leads it off. He'll be followed by Chuck Carr and then Jeff Conine. The middle 3, Terry Pendleton, Andre Dawson, and Greg Colbrun. The bottom 3, Kurt Abbott, Charles Johnson, and then the pitcher, John Burkett.
The pitching stats again are brought to you by Stauder. Bret Saberhagen, game number 12, a 4-2 record, a 3.51 earned run average. As Fran told you earlier, he's won his last 3 starts. There you see 77 innings, giving up 71 hits. 17 walks looks good for most people, but that's a lot of walks for Saberhagen.
Kilvio Veras steps in and takes a fastball for a strike from Bret Saberhagen. You saw in the opening that Bret Saberhagen showed us how he holds the ball on all his pitches. Bobby Bonilla on the grass for Veras, who leads the league in stolen bases with 21. He fouls the pitch off, so it's 0-2. Asked Joe McIlvaine about that trade. Carl Everett coming to the Mets for Kilvio Veras. I said, do you regret the trade? He said, no. He said, we have Jeff Kent. We have Edgardo Alfonso, who can play second base. We wanted another outfielder. And by the way, Carl Everett is starting to hit the ball very well in AAA. See Veras' stats. Pops the ball up and out of play. A swing like that, Rusty, if you were a hitting instructor, what would you tell him as a leadoff man with good speed?
Don't hit it in the air. You got to learn how to be a terrific bunter. You got to slap the ball around, check the defense, see where they are, try to hit to the spot that is being given. You know, sometimes you can't turn on the ball, but most guys, if you work at it, can learn how to do that. Learn to hit that hole.
Changeup is down low, 1-2.
I'm not kidding you, Francis. When I worked most of the time in spring training, I used to practice hitting to one part of the field. Then I'd practice hitting to another part of the field, so that you learn the control of hitting a pitch no matter where it is to that area of the field.
Veras hits a fly ball left field. That's a can of corn. He does everybody a favor when he puts the ball up in the air like that. And I can tell you as a catcher, when you see the guy who leads the league in stolen bases hit a ball up in the air like that, you're relieved. You know somebody's going to catch it. Well, take a look at the Mets defense, brought to you by the United States Postal Service. Brogna, Kent, Vizcaino, and Bonilla in the infield. Left to right in the outfield, Orsulak, Thompson, and Jones. Hundley, with the big hit in last night's game behind the plate. Chuck Carr steps in with one man gone. Saberhagen changes speeds right there. It's down low, ball one. Carr this year batting 177, no home runs, 8 RBIs. He can go get the ball. He's not going to stay in the lineup every day unless he hits. Down low, 2-0.
Well, he's another guy who led the National League in stolen bases one time. He was getting on base then. That's an important part of it.
And the 2-0 pitch fouls it off.
He's another little guy who hits the ball in the air too often.
One-time member of the Mets organization. He's moved around because he has a tag, and that tag is trouble.
Yep.
Causes a problem on a ball clock. 2-1 pitch. Hold to the right side. Easy play for Jeff Kent. 2 down. I guess if you have that tag of being trouble, you got to be able to hit.
You got to hit a bundle. And it's not just when you say trouble. His problem has been that he's been extremely vocal, and occasionally, even though when you're vocal you have to back it up, when you're vocal you also have to hustle.
That's right. Jeff Conine, real solid player, swings through the first pitch for a strike. Conine batting .317, 11 home runs, 37 RBIs. Leads the team in the power categories. He's a good, solid major league player. Breaking ball off the plate.
He hits the ball very well to the opposite field, and he has given Saberhagen fits.
His old teammate from those Royals days. Down low, 2-1. Rusty mentioned what he does. You be the judge.
10 for 20. And the last time out, Saberhagen got him out a little bit.
And the 2-1 pitch from Bret Saberhagen. Kona hits a long drive to left field. That ball is way back. It's caught at the wall by Joe Orsulak. So Bret Saberhagen knows about those stats that Conine has against him. We played one here at Joe Robbie Stadium. No score. The Mets and the Marlins. Top of the second inning here at Joe Robbie Stadium, and Rusty, the veteran, watches the ball.
It's way up. It's close to the wall. Blow a bubble. Go ahead. Watch his face now. He catches it. Check that little smile out. I hit him all the way.
Javi Bonilla hits a ground ball to short. Abbott over to first. Scored 6-3, 1 down.
First guy to put it in play. They're gaining.
Burkett struck out the side in the first inning. And Bobby Bo, first ball hitting here in the second.
He did that in the game yesterday. First pitch of the game, he took a hack at it, made an out. Trying to be aggressive.
Well, Jeff Kent has been aggressive lately. He's batting .263, 8 home runs, 23 RBIs. As I mentioned earlier, he's one of the reasons that Kildeo Veras is no longer in the Mets organization. Kent puts the ball in play, and it's a base hit. They used to call those seeing eye hits.
Pendleton had to be standing on the line for that ball to get through the infield. Look at him. It's almost like it's 2 outs and you're worried about an extra base hit. Didn't exactly get a big jump on that one either, did he?
So Terry Pendleton guarding the line, obviously because they feel that Kent is a dead pull hitter, although Kent will tell you he's not a dead pull hitter. Here's the guy who had the big hit in last night's game, Rusty.
Yep. Todd Hundley. I mean, if Pendleton dives to his right, he's out of bounds. You know, I mean, he's off the field. You should at least put yourself in a position that if you dive for the ball, it's gonna be fair.
See Hundley's stats. 6 home runs, 26 RBIs. He was very happy about catching that ball game. We had him on the pregame show, and that was the most important thing to him, catching the victory by Bill Pulsford. Here's a ground ball to Pendleton. This could be a 5-4. 3, double play. And that'll do it for the Mets here in the second inning. Failed to score, nobody left on base. We played 1.5. No score here at Joe Robbie Stadium. The Mets and the Marlins.
Saturday mornings have never been so much fun. Wake up to the show made just for kids. Dynamets. Join host Jennifer Giles for more baseball fun and games than ever. Don't miss Dynamets every Saturday morning at 8, only on Sports Channel.
No score here at Joe Robbie Stadium. Last inning, Terry Pendleton playing on the line. And Rusty, when you go to the plate, do you look at all the fielders where they're positioned?
Boy, you should if you're a hitter. You know, we were talking about that in the last inning. If you know where they are, I mean, there's so many things that you can do if you practice hitting the ball to certain areas of the field.
He's batting .290, Terry Pendleton. 4 home runs. He steps in to face Saberhagen. He pulls the changeup foul. With those 4 home runs, Pendleton has 30 RBIs. They picked him up because they needed a leader on the ball club. They picked up Andre Dawson because they needed a leader on the ball club.
One of the things that hurt this organization was Grissom and Hill was supposed to come here. Under certain rules and regulations, they were going to be here. And then the rules changed in baseball, reverted back to the former rules. We're talking about all the things that happened during the player strike, and different rules and regulations came into effect. That hurt this franchise. They thought they had Hill. They thought they had Grissom.
It's 1-2 now on Pendleton. What about Brian Harvey?
Brian Harvey hurt them. I mean, he was a terrific reliever. I mean, everybody knew the talent was there, but he just finished having an operation very similar to Tommy John, and the jury is out again.
1-2 pitch. Fastball misses inside. 2-2. We showed you a graphic a moment ago.
There's Harvey.
His first year with the Marlins, he dominated in the National League. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Foul tipped into Hundley's glove. Strike 3. Harvey's first year, he dominated in the National League. And I remember, Rusty, you and I discussing that situation. You said trade him during the year, and I said don't do it as you look at Saberhagen's motion.
And I'll tell you what, that was a good one because they got everybody. He saved 45 games in 1993, 46 games in 1991. Doug Harvey. Brian Harvey, sorry.
That's okay. Doug was an outstanding umpire. He loves to plug. There's a long drive, but foul.
Again, Saberhagen has talked about how he has had trouble with his curveball, hanging it up a little bit. As you can see, 4 for 7 lifetime against saves.
This guy's at the end of his career, but what a player. I think it's jammed right there. Vizcaíno boots it, kicks it. That's an error. He dropped it and then kicked it.
Just a routine grounder. Hits off the top of the glove. You have to lose your concentration for that to happen. And he tried to get down on it. And that ball was like a hot potato.
So an error on Jose Vizcaíno. The Marlins with Andre Dawson on first, and the batter Greg Colbrun. He drives the ball to right center field, and Jones is going back. He's in front of the track and making the grab. 2 down. So 2-minute gone. Andre Dawson back on first base. He used to be able to fly. He could steal a base, but it would be tough now. In fact, when he runs, Rusty, it almost looks like he has chains around his ankles.
It's really for someone who was such a terrific athlete, and see him have to struggle running like he is. It actually hurts me. It bothers me. But he wants to play, and he's out there doing it.
Kurt Abbott, the batter, takes an off-speed pitch for a strike. Abbott batting .252, 7 home runs, 23 RBIs. He is developing while playing in the major leagues. Some guys get that luxury, and Kurt Abbott's one of those guys. He's hitting with power this year. He fouls that pitch off. 0-2. It helps if you get somebody in management who has decided this guy can play. They've made the decision. Then he's allowed the luxury of failing a number of times and developing in the big leagues. Rene Latchman very high on Kurt Abbott.
Well, I have a belief that you shouldn't rush people, but if you do bring them up, you got to stay with them.
I agree. Patience. Change of misses outside. 1-2. Once again, in talking to Todd Hundley before the ball game, told me Bret Saberhagen refuses to talk about the hitters. He relies solely on his catcher to call the game. 1-2 pitch. Good fastball. There's a long drive. Way back, and that's a home run for Kurt Abbott. A 2-run shot, and that's a big league home run.
Saberhagen got lucky on the ball that was hit by Conine. The ball was right up against the wall. A couple of balls have been hit hard. Tails right into the heart of the plate. And I tell you what, Kurt Abbott, impressive.
8 home runs now on the season for the Marlins shortstop as Charles Johnson gets hit with the pitch.
And I believe that was a breaking ball. That was not a fastball. It's that curveball he's had trouble with, and it just hung up inside. Didn't seem like a fastball, did it? He just kind of
lost it. He looked like he lost the pitch.
Yeah. Almost like it was a changeup that got out of the way. I know we were watching it in slow motion.
Charles Johnson on first base. He's a product of the University of Miami, that kid right there. Big prospect, #1 draft pick for the Marlins. He can hit a ball a mile. Talking to Gary Carter before the ball game, he said he's going to have to shorten his swing. He has a long swing.
Well, the era opened up the gates. Kurt Abbott took advantage of it.
And a batter now, the pitcher, John Burkett. Fastball misses. Ball 1.
Let's see that pitch regular speed that Saberhagen threw. I guess that was a fastball. It just seemed like a funny pitch, didn't it?
It did. How about Burkett? Base hit in the center field. So the Marlins have runners on first and second with 2 men out here in the second inning.
And Ryan Thompson has been getting in a really bad habit the way he charges the ball. He has not caught about 5 balls almost this year. I know at least 3 or 4 times he has gone by the ball. When the ball's on the ground, you have to look the ball into your glove. You can't be anticipating making a throw. That is no reason for he closed the glove. He picked his head up. He peeks all the time. You cannot do that.
The batter now, Kilvio Veras. He flied out his first time up, and he hits a ground ball short. Should be an easy play. They go to second for the Force. That'll do it for the Marlins. But they pick up 2 runs here in the second inning. We played 2. It's 2-zip. Marlins. Well, folks, this copyrighted telecast is authorized under television rights granted by the New York Mets solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and Sports Channel is prohibited.
Well, Jeff Kent, in between innings, they have been, that is Fred Heine, the trainer for the Mets, checking out the elbow. Seeing if there was some hyperextension there, it looks like.
Well, Chris Jones would like to hyperextend those arms and hit one out of here. The Mets are trailing 2-0, and Jones takes a ball. Burkett has been in control so far. In fact, in the first inning, he faced 3 batters, struck all 3 out. There's the fastball on the black. 1-1. Here's Jones putting the ball in play, picking up a base hit. Just serving the ball into center field.
You know, that's not luck. Burkett came back with the same exact type of pitch. That's why they tell you got to mix it up a little bit. He threw that slider almost in the same location. Jones went out and got it, hit it back through the box. That's not luck.
It'll bring to the plate Ryan Thompson, who's batting .299, 5 home runs, 13 RBIs.
See, now there's a gigantic hole between first and second right now, the way that Kilvio Veras is playing near second base. Thompson really worked at it.
Well, he pulled the ball right to the shortstop. They go 6-4-3, double play. They played him perfectly.
Second double play for the Marlins tonight. And again, pulling the ball. Abbott, good feed, good, nice, quick release. That's a major league double play right there. No hesitation. And Jones came in hard at second.
Bret Saberhagen just took ball 1 from John Burkett. Yeah, Veras turned that double play very well. It's 2-0. The Marlins on top of the Mets. 2 men are gone here in the top of the third, and Saberhagen takes it down low. 2-0.
So I wonder if it ever enters Ryan Thompson's mind to try to slap that ball between first and third and get that runner from first to third.
Saberhagen slaps it over to first. Colbrun flips to Burkett. That'll do it for the Mets here in the third. They fail to score. We play 2.5 here at Joe Robbie Stadium, and it's 2-zip Marlins. Chuck Carr, who grounded out his first time up, leads it off for the Marlins. Marlins up 2-0 here in the bottom of the third. Smart move by Carr, but he misses the attempted bunt. 0-1. Bobby Bonilla playing in for the bunt. You got to really defense against this guy for the bunt. You got to bring everybody in. He's hitting below 200. He's really lost his confidence with the bat as he takes outside. 1-1. On a post-game show when the Marlins were in New York, Carr told me he was disappointed that he doesn't get credit for saving runs. Only guys who drive in runs get credit. 1-2 on the Marlins center fielder. Fastball misses inside. 2-2. Two pitch, fouled back, so we'll do it again at 2-2. Bret Saberhagen trailing 2-0, giving up a home run to Kurt Abbott, the Marlins shortstop, in the second inning. It was a 2-run shot. And Carr puts the ball in play and picks up a base hit. Didn't overswing, just met the ball.
And fans tap the Rockies with Coors Light. Thank you, New York and New Jersey, for making Coors Light the #1 light beer. There's Rusty Kuntz on the shoulders of Chuck Carr, been the first base coach here. It says flied out in the first. Flied out right against the wall in the first.
Carr can run. And Jeff Conine takes up high, ball 1. A situation like this, when you're catching, you like to catch Saberhagen because he can throw that fastball. This is a good situation for a guy like Todd Hundley. He's got Carr on first who can run, but he'll get a good shot. Saberhagen with a good move to first, quick move to the plate. There's the good move to first, getting Carr to jump back in. A lot of times as a catcher, you like to see that runner on first have to dive back a lot. It'll take away his aggressiveness. Just keep throwing there. Pitch misses, so it's 2-0. Now you know Carr has to do something offensively. He's not hitting. He's got to steal.
I don't disagree. I wouldn't do it here. You got to let Jeff Conine have a 2-0 count that he can be selective with. At least that's the way it should happen.
So once again, he drives Carr back. At one time in 1993, Carr had 58 steals. Rusty, I think that's a nice point you made, but I'm going to disagree, because if I'm a catcher, Saberhagen's going to get that fastball. And I might give Conine a real good shot at hitting the ball. And there's a base hit into center field. He didn't get the fastball. Carr going to third base. So runners in first and third. It looked like Conine was fooled and just hit the ball where it was pitched.
Well, when you have your 3, 4, 5 guys up, who's supposed to be your top hitters, your top run producers, you get a 2-0 and a 3-1 count. You want to give them a shot at it. He hit an awfully good slider down and away. So we told you, he hits the ball up the middle into right field as good as anybody. Carr easily in the third base.
And the batter now will be Terry Pendleton. Jeff Conine in first. Chuck Carr in third. See the defense for Pendleton. Double play depth. And the off-speed pitch is a ball.
I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but Saberhagen in his last 3 outings, which he won all of them, went 8, 8, and 9. That doesn't seem to be sharp tonight.
1-0 pitch. There's a strike. 1-1.
Good changeup.
You'll go out and you'll catch pitchers, real good pitchers that aren't sharp on a given night. They can all of a sudden get it together in the 4th or 5th inning. Pendleton hits a high pop-up in foul territory. Hundley over by the dugout.
Check Saberhagen out. He was right there with him.
He did that in Atlanta also. Very aggressive on those foul balls. The Mets were in Atlanta. Saberhagen almost collided with Edgardo Alfonso in foul territory. Chuck Carr leading off third. Jeff Conine off first. Nobody out. A 1-2 count on Terry Pendleton. Saberhagen so far in this ball game struggling. The only damage, a 2-run home run by Kurt Abbott. That's a nasty fastball. You see the ball movement. 1 down.
Second strikeout for Saberhagen. Good moving fastball. Watch him move away from him. Pendleton with that runner on third trying to make contact, but he was already committed. When the rear end heads in the wrong direction, you're in trouble.
Saberhagen needs a ground ball from this guy right here, Andre Dawson. You ever think you hear those words? He needs a ground ball from Andre Dawson.
Andre Dawson hit into a double play last night. That was a big play in the game. It was off of John Franco. Cannot get out of the batter's box like he used to.
This guy used to fly. He was turned down by the Royals when they had that Kansas City Royals Academy. What a success story. Nobody wanted to sign him out of college. Went to Florida A&M. The 0-1 pitch. He takes down low. He's from southern Florida, the Miami area. After getting out of college, he heard about a tryout camp in Palm Beach, Florida. The Expos had the tryout camp. Drove up there, tried out. Mel Didier ran the camp and immediately signed him. The rest is history. And that's a part of history right there. He drives in the 3rd run of the ball game for the Marlins.
Again, it seemed to be a breaking pitch that was up in the zone.
So Greg Colbrun steps in. He flied out his last time up. He's 0 for 1. 3-0. 5 hits so far in this game for the Marlins. Colbrun hits a chopper to short. Vizcaíno goes to 10 for 1 over to first. A 6-4-3 double play. A pitcher's delight. But the Marlins pick up a run here in the 3rd. We go to the top of the 4th inning here in southern Florida at Joe Robbie Stadium. It's 3-0 Marlins. Welcome back to Joe Robbie Stadium. Fran Healy with Rusty Staub. 3-0. The Mets trailing the Marlins as we go to the top of the 4th inning. And now with the play-by-play, Legrand Orange.
Thanks, Francis. Joe Orsulak facing John Burkett. That pitch out of the strike zone. I believe it's a ball and a strike. Not only did Orsulak strike out in the first inning, all three guys did on a pitch very similar to that. Burkett got 2/3 strikes called. Setting up down and away. Fouled straight back. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Joe Orsulak. Mets trailing by 3 runs. It's only a couple of hits so far in this game. Boy, and Orsulak is jammed bad. Good flip to Burkett. 1 down.
And folks, tomorrow there's great baseball talk coming your way on Sports Channel with the season premiere of At the Plate with my colleague Rusty Staub. It's taped at his New York City restaurant, Rusty's Place on 5th Avenue. He's joined this week by Davey Johnson and Dallas Green. Baseball is the main course on this hour-long show. Don't miss the season premiere of At the Plate with Rusty Staub tomorrow at 10 right here on Sports Channel. Looking forward to seeing that show, Rusty.
Yeah, I am too, Francis. You know, Dallas is going to be very open, and so is Davey Johnson about their clubs. The 10-day ultimatum is passing as we speak.
Joe McIlvain's 10-day test.
Strike call.
Speaking of Davey Johnson, those Cincinnati Reds will be in town. That's why Davey's on the show. The Reds with a 5-game lead in the Central Division of the National League. 5 games over Houston.
Well, they wanted Davey's scalp after they got off to that 1-8, 1-9 start.
Supposedly he's supposed to move upstairs next year.
Ground ball, it's foul.
But it's supposed to be Ray Knight managing, but I was told that Davey Johnson does not want to go upstairs. He wants to manage next year.
I have heard that rumor myself.
So it'd be nice to find out from Davey. But Ray Knight is listed in the Green Book. I've never seen this before. We talked about it when we were in Cincinnati. He is listed as an assistant manager.
And they have announced that he's supposed to manage the club next year. They have said that. Swing and a miss by Vizcaino, and he is struck out for the 2nd time.
Now, Davey and Ray Knight, good friends. You wonder if there's any bad blood between the two.
I don't think so. I've seen them together. I mean, it all depends on.
You want to bet?
How they look at each other. You think there is?
You a gambling man?
No.
Okay.
Rico Brogna, the hitter. Ball 1.
That was not.
If the media picks up on it enough, yes, it can become a problem, and it's going to happen.
And it was not Davey's decision to move upstairs.
There's that tailing fastball that Burkett likes so much. A ball and a strike to Rico. Hard ground ball. What a play by Colburn. Throws to Burkett, and he robs the Mets and Rico Brogna of a base hit. 3 up, 3 down in the top of the 4th inning. It's still Florida 3, New York nothing.
Hey fans, finish your 4th of July festivities with a Coca-Cola fireworks spectacular at Shea Stadium. The world-famous Grucci family will put on an Independence Day fireworks show following the 7:40 Tuesday night Mets-Cubs game. For ticket information or to charge seats by phone, call the Mets at 718-507-TIXX during business hours. A per-ticket surcharge applies. Hey kids, nobody beats the Wiz, and the Mets invite you to be part of the Dynameds Dash on Thursday, July 6th. Weather permitting, you can run the bases at Shea Stadium just like the major leaguers. So get ready for the Dynameds Dash following the 1:40 Mets-Cubs game on July 6th. For ticket information or to charge seats by phone, call the Mets at 718-507-TIXX during business hours. A per-ticket surcharge applies.
Saberhagen delivers to Kurt Abbott. Strike 1 is called. Abbott hit a long 2-run home run off Saberhagen his last time up. Looking down and away. And that curveball, sometimes it just doesn't seem to be sharp enough, Francis. He's just really struggling with that pitch.
Well, he and Todd Hundley have been concerned about the breaking ball all year. Usually it's, I don't have my breaking ball for 2 innings, and I get it. But to be concerned all year?
That pitch misses. Maybe you should, stick with a slider.
Well, what he's doing, instead of going to the break, he's mixing in some sliders, but they're staying with the fastball and a straight change.
Yeah, that's what they've said. I don't think they should do that. And that time he dropped down a little bit. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
You look at Bret Saberhagen. He's been a power pitcher his whole career. He's had that same compact, deliberate motion to the plate. It's unusual for a power pitcher.
That time it was a good breaking pitch. Abbott stays alive.
Power pitchers are usually, they really push off that mound and they're diving at the hitter. You think of a Nolan Ryan. You watch Bret Saberhagen. He's always composed. Look at that head. He's got the head right. He's looking right at the target. There's the breaking ball right there. Good pitch. But a power pitcher, they have trouble with their mechanics because things are flying open. That's why their shoulder flies open, hip flies open, and they have trouble with their control. But Saberhagen, over the years, has had real good control.
And he gets Abbott to chase that fastball. So Saberhagen gets strikeout number 3. And Abbott with the long walk back to the bench.
And take a look at that motion. Very controlled motion. Unusual for a power pitcher. He pushes off. He doesn't dive at those hitters like those other power pitchers, and that's why I believe he usually has that good control. Last year, pinpoint control.
That's awful close itself. That breaking ball misses. 1,459 strikeouts for Saberhagen in his major league career. Gaining on that 1,500. Fly ball, center field. Well, I'll tell you what, Thompson was coming hard. It was an easy play for Jones. A few people got up off the bench on that one. Thompson was coming hard.
Well, Ryan Thompson, a very aggressive center fielder. He wants to get and take everything he can. That's a center fielder's job. And right there, he stopped on the dime. A lot of times, a guy Thompson's size, with that type of speed, you're going full tilt. The other guy hears him and says, whoa, I'll stop. And consequently, balls will fall in.
The pitcher hitting. Ball 1. John Burkett. He singled to center. His only at bat tonight. Not noted for the lumber, but has shown that he can be a dangerous hacker. That's the best thing he can do, take. And now he's in the driver's seat. He's got 2 balls and no strikes. Let's see how he handles this one with 2 down. Oh, he swings at a bad pitch. Here was just trying to give this guy some credit. He takes a miserable hack like that. Way ahead in the count.
It's funny, you're hard pressed to pick out a pitcher who you say he could play every day because he can hit.
Well, he got that one. Got up on a fastball up in his eyes, and he's 2 for 2.
There were certain pitchers that days gone by, they say this guy can really swing the bat and he would have a chance of playing every day if he wasn't a pitcher. But you don't hear that today.
Burkett had 2 hits in 25 at bats coming into tonight's action, so he has doubled his season's output. And Kilvio Veras hitting for the 3rd time. He's 0 for 2. Strike call.
When Saberhagen is sharp, even the good hitters on the team don't hit that fastball where Burkett hit it. It was up high. Usually that fastball is swung in and missed.
Well, my point, he just doesn't seem like he has that extra snap tonight. He has had 3 good performances back to back. We said 8 innings, and then a 9-inning complete game.
But the thing is, good pitchers don't always have their good stuff, as you know, Rusty. A guy can go out there and not have his good stuff and yet have the savvy to win. And this guy, Saberhagen, has that type of ability because he can change speeds. This is when it's a real test for a catcher to set up hitters, is when a good pitcher doesn't have his real good stuff.
I don't disagree. Hard ground ball up the middle. So Veras gets his first hit of the game. Runners at first and second, 2 men down, and Chuck Carr will come to the plate.
Usually when Saberhagen has that real good fastball, you'll see a lot of foul balls back towards the broadcast booth behind home plate. We haven't seen many of those foul balls tonight.
The best that I ever played with, I mean, there were a lot of terrific pitchers, I'm sure, did the same thing, but the best I ever played with that was able to do that was Tom Seaver. Tom Seaver some days just did not have his good stuff, and how he got away with some of the things he did on the mound, he just found a way to win. Fly ball deep to right, but there is Chris Jones. Well, that ball looked like it was going to get out of here when it left. It's 3-0. Florida over New York. At Joe Robbie, it's Florida 3, New York 0. You can see in the back of the dugout, Bret Saberhagen, they're working on that right shoulder. A lot of times guys want to get a little extra heat on their shoulder, when they change that uniform.
And sometimes you don't feel loose.
Yes.
Get the trainer to rub that shoulder, loosen it up some more. Obviously, Bret Saberhagen is not loose because guys are hitting his fastball. Not only his fastball, but we saw Burkett get hit off his fastball. Was up in the strike zone. Usually a tough pitch for good hitters to hit.
Pitch outside and down a little bit for Bobby Bowe. Phenia grounded out his first at bat. Throws that slider inside. Took 3 different pitches before Burkett and Charles Johnson got together. Again coming in. There's that tailing fastball. 2 balls and a strike. Ball fouled off. 2-2. Going right in the dugout.
How about Carlos Perez with the Montreal Expos? He was in the dugout. Ball went in the dugout, hit the wall, and hit him right in the head and knocked him unconscious.
Right down the third baseline. I'll tell you what, if that had stayed fair, it was definitely going to be a hit. Because Pendleton playing way off the line and deep. I guess you should be that way for Phenia. Phenia talking to Hondo. See left-handed and right-handed. Right-handed. Used to be that everybody thought he was a much better left-handed hitter, but so far this year again, right-handed, he's been a little bit stronger, especially batting average-wise. That tailing fastball's up a little. We have a full count.
Speaking of switch hitters, one of the greatest who ever played the game went home from the hospital today. The Mickey Mantle.
Well, that was good news, wasn't it? Phenia is jammed a little bit, but I think he's going to get a little shoo-shoo in there. There's a double. Gets jammed. Oh, man, they almost decoyed him. That's that assuming stuff. They must have had some of that assuming stuff when they were in Pittsburgh.
Well, Bobby Phenia assuming right there it was going to be an easy stand-up double. We saw Barry Bonds assume a few times in San Francisco. He took some heat for it. Now watch this. Whatever a shoo-shoo is, it's that right there as Dawson gets over.
Look at that gree-gree on that ball. It's moving all over the place.
And Dawson throws a bullet to second base. And Bobby Phenia figured, I've got an easy double.
Well, he was right. But the Hawk wasn't conceding anything. He didn't assume anything. So the Mets have their leadoff hitter on with a double. That'll bring up Jeff Kent. So a little dunker down the right field line. And Bobby has struggled against the Marlins for some reason. Lifetime only a 167 batting average coming into tonight's action. This is a pretty good ballpark to hit in.
Gets the first extra base hit of the game for the Mets.
Yeah, Kent had a base hit. So did Chris Jones. So the double by Phenia leading off the top of this inning. And it's 2 balls and no strikes to Kent.
Burkett so far has been superb, staying on the corners, staying away from the middle of the plate. He's not overpowering, so he can't rear back and just fire that ball by a hitter.
Well, Kent in the driver's seat. Let's see if he gets a good pitch to hit.
Oof, he got it.
He took it. Kent has actually had a pretty good career against Burkett. You see 8 for 17 with 1 home run. And count goes to 3-1. So he got a fastball 2-0. That was on the inside part of the plate. Kind of, I would say, at least waist high, if not higher, just a little bit, was a strike. Got to be looking for that pitch now, don't you? It's a slider. He hits it high. Tagging is Bobby Bowe. Dawson has a good arm. Here's a long throw. It's offline. So Phenia into third base. The Hawk was game, but so was Phenia. Phenia gets the victory.
Well,
He's on third.
Kent got the runner over. I'm sure he wasn't trying to do that. The Mets trailing 3-0. Kent, an RBI man. Kent hitting that fly ball to Dawson. Boy, he's set to throw. He has a strong arm, but it's off the mark. But he still has that strong throwing arm. The only thing hurting Andre Dawson are the wheels.
Those knees are in just terrible shape. And he's become more of an arm thrower because of the knees. Throwing, obviously, from the outfield. Talked the other day about how important it can be for a pitcher to use his body and to push off and use those legs. Strike call. We talked about Seaver and Kuzmin, how they used to push off so much they actually had to wear a pad on their back knee. They'd be pushing off and so low to the ground that it would make contact.
And they were unusual with that push off, the way the back knee touched the ground.
Bill and Ryan had a tendency to push off too.
Right.
I would say he pushed and grunted and groaned. I mean, you'd be hearing that.
Oh, when you heard, you knew he had everything behind. He hit me one day. It was a classic. He threw it behind me. I couldn't go backwards, so I did. I started running towards the backstop.
He got me a couple of times too, brother. We're both on the list. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Todd Hundley. He did get the big hit in the ball game. A lot of people felt that Colburn should have made that play, but it bounced off his glove. Veras picked it up, threw wild at first. Ball popped up out of play. It was Veras to Veras, the pitcher, and it was up and away, and 2 runs scored.
Well, right now the team is talking about chipping away at this lead. It's a 3-0 lead, and there is 1 out. And this is a big run for the Mets. You don't want to strand this guy on third base.
Breaking ball inside, and Hundley does lay off it.
Now keep in mind, there's the breaking ball, but that pitch that Burkett struck out Orsulak and Vizcaíno in the first innings, that fastball that runs away from the left-hand hitter. Now there's Hundley checking his swing on the breaking ball. Let's see if Burkett throws that fastball.
Montague was the umpire down at third base that said that Hundley did not swing. He didn't swing again. That's 3-2. Keep
in mind how important that run is on third base to just change the atmosphere of the ball game. You need that run.
Fouled off. The Florida Marlins are actually conceding the run if Hundley will hit the ball on the ground.
And it does change the atmosphere. You pick up that 1 run, you know you can.
You've got to get the runs in. Mets have not done a good job at that. It's one of the things they have to change. Stay on the top half of the ball. You hit a ground ball here. If you get it through the infield, fine, you got to hit. If you don't, you got to run in.
Could be a big out right here for Burkett.
Of course it is.
Keep that atmosphere the same.
Strike 3 called. That tailing fastball. Strikeout number 5 for Burkett.
We talked about that fastball early in the game, and that's his bread and butter pitch. When he needs the strikeout against left-handers, he starts the ball at the hitter. Now watch the ball movement. The hitter gives up on it, and bang. And Charles Johnson doing an excellent job catching that ball.
And I'll tell you what, Dallas Green has been vocal about how disappointed he is in the Mets in leaving that runner at third base like they have. You just can't do that. You got to shorten up your swing. You got to make contact. And when they're giving you a run, you got to take it. You can't not take advantage of those plays. Chris Jones, 1 ball, no strikes. They're going to come in on him. They jam him. He fouls it straight back, 1-1.
Chris Jones right there had a big swing at that fastball. His last time up, he placed the ball into center field. It was a good pitch. He just got the head of the bat on the ball and served it into center field.
Well, the key right now is 2 outs. These are the tough RBIs. A base hit is all you want to get here. Way inside. 2 balls, 1 strike. I mean, it's nice to you get ahead in the count to be able to try to turn on the ball. You can try to do that. You're coming in again. Whoa, way in. So the count goes to 3-1.
Well, first thing that runs through your mind if you're a catcher, you just knock the hitter down. It used to be automatic the next pitch a breaking ball. Here's Burkett with a real good control and knocking Jones down. Does he go away?
Yes, he does, and it's ball 4.
It used to be automatic. You right after a hitter was knocked down, even if it was unintentional, if you were a catcher, you tended to lean towards calling a breaking ball on the next pitch. Sometimes it's okay to come back inside with that fastball. Let's take a look at the pitch that knocks Jones down. Nothing wrong with that pitch. It's a purpose pitch. It's up and in.
Well, the Mets now have the tying run at the plate in Ryan Thompson.
And Bret Saberhagen on deck. You have second base open.
Double play grounder his last time up. He
took the pitch outside and tried to pull it. He did it right there.
It's just one of those things that Ryan has with men in scoring position. They've worked him away, and he's tried to pull the ball a lot. Get it on the end of the bat. Resulted in a double play in the last at bat. Now this time they're going to come in on him. And he does hit it hard, and he goes through Terry Pendleton. So I'll be surprised if that's not called an error. Either way, the Mets do get a run in.
We'll take a look at that last pitch to Ryan Thompson, and there's the ball hit by Pendleton, and it's got to be scored in error.
I think they might have called that a hit. Again, Pendleton is this time going to go to third base to end the inning. Takes it himself, but Mets score a run on the top of the 5th. It's still 3-1 Fish.
Well, Terry Pendleton last inning allowed a run to score. It was scored a base hit, but Pendleton usually eats this ball up. So generous scoring here in Florida. Watch this. Pendleton, a former Gold Glove winner, has a few Gold Gloves. He usually catches that ball, Rusty.
Looked like a matador right there. That ball fouled off out of play. I'll tell you, but maybe that's why the Marlins are so high up in the league standings in defense.
What do you think Red Foley or Bill Shannon back in New York would have scored that?
Would have been an E because it was.
Yep.
So Jeff Conine flew out right up against the wall his first time up. Single to center his second time up. Fly ball to right. Jones coming hard. Slide and can't get there. He had a long run.
I'll tell you, one guy who was holding his breath hoping Jones would catch that ball was Bret Saberhagen. Conine just missed a home run against Saberhagen. Then he got a base hit against Saberhagen. He has handled Saberhagen easily. In fact, the way he's hit Bret, I'm surprised he doesn't send a car for him to get to the ballpark. Here's that foul ball again. Jones with good hustle just couldn't get to it. Conine, a former teammate of Bret Saberhagen's with the Kansas City Royals.
Jones, a good effort. That emphasizes how deep the Met outfield does play. Check swing, fouls it off. Still 0-2.
I'll tell you one thing. Last Friday in Atlanta, Jones made a catch and might be the play of the year. It is the play of the year for the Mets so far. Dave Justice hits his ball. Watch Jones go back and use the wall and get up high and make that catch. I don't know if he had that shot at Justice, but Justice with a big smile on his face leaving the field. But what a play that was by Chris Jones.
I agree. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Another fly ball high. Jones coming hard. He's there. He's got it.
Jones said that was easy compared to last Friday. And if you just joined us, here's a quick game update brought to you by your Tri-State GMC dealers.
As Burkett with 5 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts. Abbott the 2-run home run on the second. Saberhagen in his 4 innings has given up 7 hits, 3 runs, and he has 3 strikeouts. So Pendleton, the hitter, looking down and away, and that might be his best fastball of the day. He has got Pendleton both times. Again, looking down and away, and he fouls it off.
You know, we say that, and it does have an impact on a hitter, I think, because when you go up to the plate, you've K'd twice against a guy, and you got in the back of your mind, well, he's got my number tonight. So what Pendleton, who's a good major league hitter, has to do is get that positive attitude going after Saberhagen. I'm sure Saberhagen feels good after striking out Pendleton twice.
A chance to do it 3 times. Pendleton's not have anything to do with it. Long throw. They don't get him. Went off Bonilla's glove to Vizcaino. Pendleton was hauling down that line. See what they call that one.
And it goes off of Bonilla's glove. Almost is a little bit like the play that the ball get by Pendleton. It's got to be scoring error. But if you scored the last one a base hit, I guess you have to give Pendleton a base hit. Does Pendleton know this official score?
I'm not sure. They have not called it yet. Been 7 hits in the game.
It's been
now
called,
they have 2 errors.
Both from the left side of the Mets infield tonight.
Yep.
Vizcaino and now Bobby Ball.
So it's different for different people, I guess. The hometown crew.
But Pendleton will take the error as a fielder and take a base hit right there.
Understood. Dawson gets that high breaking ball and he hammers it again. So twice now Saberhagen has got that curve ball up to Dawson. So 1 down.
Well, Dawson finding a home here in Southern Florida. He's always wanted to play here. He makes his home here, born and brought up in Southern Florida. Still has that quick bat. I thought at one time, Rusty, he had the quickest bat and the quickest body motion when he's hitting than anybody in the league. Andre Dawson.
There's no doubt he generated incredible bat speed. Saberhagen missed with that curveball. Colburn has hit a line drive to right field on the track and grounded into a double play. Strike call. And Saberhagen get him twice to ground out into a double play. Tries for the pickoff. It's close. Saberhagen working with Kent.
Pickoff play with Saberhagen turning quickly and throwing to Kent. Very close at second base. Pendleton back.
1-1. Oh, and a nice job by Hundley.
Well, Todd Hundley caught a masterpiece last night. A 2-0 shutout the Mets over the Marlins. Gary Carter talking to Todd Hundley before the game went up to him and said, you caught a very good ball game last night. He said, when one of those balls get by you, the pulsifer through, he said, you can't get lazy behind the plate. It was interesting listening to Gary tell Todd Hundley you can't get lazy behind the plate.
It's very true. Ground ball. This could be it again. The shovel and the throw. 6-4-3 ends the inning. Greg Colburn does it again. They strand one. It's still 3-1 Marlins.
Wednesday, July 12th, the theaters are.
Arcelak hits a little ball down the third baseline and Pendleton throws him out. 1 out, top of the 6th inning. We'll bring up Jose Vizcaino. Let's check out the Coors trivia question for the evening. Which catcher holds the major league record for the most lifetime putouts? Fisk, although he didn't catch all the time.
He was a DH late in his career, but he did a lot of catching.
Yeah. Bob Boone. He's got to be in the hunt.
How about Gary Carter? Would he be in the hunt now?
Well, he did play the outfield his first couple of seasons. Ball hit hard the other way, but right there, Jeff Conine, 2 down.
Boone and Fisker are 2 guys that come to mind. Even Gary Carter.
So Rico Brogna coming to the plate. He has struck out. And Colburn made a fine play on him to rob him of a hit. Chases a pitch out of the strike zone. Rico's been chasing a lot of balls and taking a lot of strikes. Here it is, the catcher who holds the major league record for the most lifetime putouts, Gary Carter. Good call, Francis. Gary in the ballpark tonight.
Broadcasting for the Marlins. And I told you about the conversation he had with Todd Hundley. He really pumped Todd Hundley up and talking to him about his ability behind the plate. In fact, the ball that got by Hundley last night for a pass ball was a cut fastball thrown by Bill Pulsifer.
It really moved. Brogna down the left field line, foul ball. We were talking about the kid, Gary Carter, with Jay Randolph.
Gary Carter is one of the best catchers I've ever seen, and what a hitter. Not only a good hitter, but a good receiver. We talked about it before. A lot of times you'll hear a guy say, so-and-so is a good catcher. He's pretty much a good hitter. But Gary Carter was a complete catcher.
I agree.
He could catch, he handled pitchers, threw the ball very well when he was younger, and could hammer the baseball.
They want it down and away. Rico holds on it. Remember, he likes to use that fastball, coming back, catching the inside corner. There it is, but Rico hit that one. Quick play by Veras over the Colburn. 3 up, 3 down for the Mets in the top of the 6th inning. It's still 3-1 Fish. It's 3-1 Marlins over the Mets, and in between the innings, Billy Marlin always squirts the fans, and then he tries to get the opposing pitchers he's looking for him. Glass Minor hits him once. He gets him pretty good. Now watch this one. Boom! He can't hit. He's going to fall down.
They ambushed the Fish.
Billy Marlin.
Watch these guys. This is what you do in a bullpen. You got to have a good time in a bullpen. This was a setup right there. Bang!
Oh, goodness gracious. You got to work together when you're out there.
If the manager only knew what went on in the bullpen.
Oh, boy.
There's some great negotiating going on usually in a bullpen for hot dogs. You go down in a bullpen with about 15 baseballs. When the game's over, you come back with about 3. But you're content.
Saberhagen misses outside. It's 1 ball, 2 strikes to Abbott.
That was a great shot at those guys. They're out. They were fishing.
Line drive center field, a little bit toward the end of the bat, but good hitting by Abbott. So a base hit to go with his long 2-run home run.
Oh, we talked about Abbott having the luxury of developing in the major leagues. He hit the 2-run home run, his 8th home run of the season. He struck out in the 4th, and there he picks up a single, going with a pretty good pitcher's pitch.
It'll bring up Charles Johnson, who's been hit by a pitch, and he has flied to Chris Jones in right field. Hundley with the signs. Abbott has stole 2 of the 3 attempts. Not a big base stealer, not a big lead either. Did he go? Yes.
Charles Johnson has developed into quite a catcher with a great throwing arm. He has struggled with the bat, although he's hit some home runs. When he hits the ball, he can hit it a long way. The problem, if he doesn't hit, he will stop becoming a prospect and end up the 2nd string catcher.
Saberhagen way outside that time.
Mentioned earlier that he played Double-A baseball last year in Portland, Maine. Joe McElvain got a chance to scout him. Wasn't that impressed with his skills behind the plate, but he's very impressed with him this year.
What hard work and discipline can do doesn't just happen. You have to work at it.
You know, I also talked to Joe McElvain about Bret Saberhagen. I said, as tough as it is to get a #1 pitcher, you got a #1 pitcher who's only 30 years old, Bret Saberhagen, 2 Cy Young awards. Why would you trade him?
He gets jammed. This is going to fall in. Especially the way the Met outfield plays. There's no chance to get to something like that. Ball gets thrown in by Orsolak. So Charles Johnson gets his first base hit. Abbott went to third. Nobody out and the pitcher coming up.
Well, they played him deep, and here he gets jammed and muscles the ball into the outfield, picking up a base hit.
And that is Rusty Kuntz talking to Johnson.
Here's the swing. You see him. He had to muscle the ball into the outfield.
I think he's going to need a new bat next time. So we'll see if they just sacrifice the catcher to second. Burkett's got 2 hits in his game already. Showing bunt. He takes strike 1.
Well, the bottom of the lineup tonight. Kurt Abbott, 2 hits. Charles Johnson, 1 hit. John Burkett, 2 hits. So the bottom of the lineup has really hurt Bret Saberhagen.
5 for 7 and a hit batter. Pitch out of the strike zone. 1-1.
I'll tell you, Burkett with 2 hits. Runners on first and third. Nobody out. How about the element of surprise, Rusty? Put the catcher in motion from first base, hold the runner at third, and have Burkett swing the bat.
All those things can happen.
Infield's in.
Showing bunt all the way, and he makes a good one. So the sacrifice is excellently executed.
So they go by the book.
They move the catcher up. That'll bring up Kilby O'Veras. He's 1 for 3.
Burkett should go in, go up to Rene Lashman and say, how can you have me bunt 2 for 2 tonight?
As we told you, he was 2 for 25 coming into tonight's action. He says, man, am I hot? How can I bunt? What's wrong with you?
There's Rene Lashman, one-time catcher. Played a little bit with the Oakland A's. He managed the Seattle Mariners. His brother Marcel Lashman managed in California. Rene also managed the Brewers.
That's challenging in the infield. They're way in. They're going to be ready for any kind of a squeeze play. First base is open, so Saberhagen can pitch as tough as he wants. Again, the infield is in. The outfield is deep except for center field. Ball fouled off. The lowest batting averages with runners in scoring position. Kilby O'Veras is right there, 118.
Sheffield.
Yep.
That's a surprise to see Sheffield on that list. He's usually a pretty good RBI man.
You know, was down there. Hollins was down there in Philadelphia. He's been injured.
He's had a viral infection and complications from sugar diabetes.
Yep.
He was just reactivated the other day.
One and one. Second baseman waiting. The ball misses. 2 balls, 1 strike.
So far tonight, just doesn't look like a Bret Saberhagen night. He has struggled. You saw him in the dugout trying to hide, but the camera picked him up getting his shoulder worked on.
He's a battler. There's no doubt about it. Squeeze. Back to Saberhagen. He tosses out at the plate. Excellent play by the pitcher. Sabes got rid of it in a hurry, and Hundley held on.
That was an excellent play by Saberhagen, but you really got to tip your hat to Hundley. This is our MCI proof positive replay. Watch Hundley stay in. Let me tell you, what a feeling this is. You know, the man on third has a full head of steam. Nice play by Saberhagen. Flips the ball to Hundley, and Hundley just held his ground. What a play by Saberhagen and Hundley. Watch Saberhagen. He used to be a shortstop. He was signed as a shortstop. Fields this ball. Perfect throw to Hundley. Hundley stayed right there. You're not going to move him. He's a tough kid.
Chuck Carr the hitter. Runners at first and third. 2 men down. There goes the runner. They drag it. Bronya's not going to get there. But Saberhagen does. What a play. Carr can't believe it. I tell you what, I'm not too sure I believe it. What a play. So Saberhagen gets out of the jam.
Take a look at it again. Saberhagen beating Carr to first base. I'll tell you one thing, defense in this game, in this inning, might turn it around for the Mets. Some good pitching and great defense by Saberhagen. He just beat Carr to first base. A fine play by the Mets.
It's 3-1 Marlins over the Mets, top of the 7th inning. We'll see if that defensive excellence by the Mets can get the offense excited. Phenia takes ball 1, close pitch. Was that tailing fastball? This one just missing. Going to go outside this time. Phenia hits it that way. Cut off by Pendleton. Quick throw and a quick out.
Well, we saw some sparkling defense in the 6th inning. Here's the play that ended the inning. It was a tough play. Carr with great speed hitting a slow roll to Bronya. What a play by Saberhagen. And he beat Carr to first base. We'll see if that defensive 6th inning, as you watch it in slow motion, we'll see if it will motivate the offense, manifest itself in run scoring. Just a terrific play by Bret Saberhagen. I mentioned how he signed as a shortstop. He's a fine defensive player.
Jeff Kent takes ball 1. Kent the base hit. And he flied to right field, moved the runner to third base. That eventually scored. Strike called. 1 ball, 1 strike. I remember in the World Series, Sid Fernandez came in the kind of latter part of the game, struck out a bunch of guys, got the Mets offense excited, and they came back and won that game. Mets had lost the first 2 games of that World Series to Boston. Went to Boston and won the first 2 games there.
Funny you mentioned Sid Fernandez's name, talking to Gary Carter. He said the 3 pitchers he loved to catch: Doc Gooden, Sid Fernandez. He said it was easy catching Sid, and David Cohn.
And ball off the plate, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Todd Hundley went on to say that his favorite, the easiest for him to catch, David Cohn.
Really? David Cohn threw a lot of balls in the dirt. That's long and deep and out of this ballpark. Jeff Kent brings the Mets within 1. He just reached out, turned on that pitch, and drilled it over the scoreboard.
Oh, we talked about that defense last inning, just changing the atmosphere, and the Mets come up with a run on a long home run off the bat of Jeff Kent. Got John Burkett talking to himself. Take a look at that pitch. Kent on top of the plate. He's a pull hitter. Ball's on the outside corner. Look what he does with it. He pulls it over the left field fence. When he's hitting the ball good, he's pulling the ball.
So his 2nd hit of the game makes the score 3-2. Todd Hundley, who was grounded into a double play and struck out. In fact, he took that fastball tailing in on the inside corner. There it is. He cannot pull the trigger on that. He thinks it's a ball. That's a strike.
That's one of his bread and butter pitches. Burkett starts the ball at the hitter and runs it back on the inside corner of the plate.
Going to go back in there. He says, I'll keep trying it. High fly ball. Plenty of time for Conine to get underneath it. 2 down.
The thing that helps set up that fastball is palm ball. Burkett will throw the palm ball on any pitch. So when he does throw that fastball, it's a tough pitch when it runs back on the inside part of the plate.
It brings up Chris Jones, who has singled and walked so far. Jones getting a start against a right-handed pitcher. He swung the bat well for the Mets. He's hitting .333 when he came into tonight's action. He's 1 for 2 tonight. Pardon me, 1 for 1. Right on that corner. Tough thing for an umpire when you're right out there like that with all that consistency. There's just that little bit of an inch, whether it's on or off the plate. Jones fouls that one off out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Umpires have a tough job.
Well, they certainly do. And if the catcher's having a good night, he's smooth behind the plate. You can really help the pitcher out, especially with a guy like Burkett, because you move your body to the corners of the plate, and if you're smooth, you can make it look like a strike when it's a little bit off the plate.
There it is. Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Chris Jones got a break there.
One thing you don't want to be as a catcher is herky-jerky behind the plate. You got to be very smooth.
Look at the target.
Johnson out there on the outside part of the plate and receiving the ball, just receiving with soft hands.
Again, 3-2. Let's see what Burkett does here. They're going to go outside, and it's ball 4. Well, second walk for Chris Jones.
And Johnson, the catcher, young catcher with the Marlins, doing a fine job tonight, framing the ball, getting out there, and using his body as a target, giving a good target with the glove, taking John McSherry with him, the umpire. Then, when you take the umpire to the outer part of the plate, you might get that ball. It's a little bit off the plate. The problem is, if the pitcher has trouble with his control and you're outside with your body, and you go inside, it might be a strike, but the umpire, because he's outside with you, might call it a ball.
They're coming in. They don't. It's in the gap. Chris Jones can run off the wall. They're going to send him rounding third, and the Mets are going to tie this game up. Ryan Thompson, a shot in the left center, and it's all tied at 3 apiece.
Well, we talked about that defense, how sometimes it motivates the offense. After some fine defensive plays, the Mets come back in this inning and tie the ball game up. Watch Jones run. He has very good speed. He scores easily on this double, and we're all tied at 3.
But a run like that. Sabes fouls it off. Let's stay in this ball game. I told you he's a battler. Chris Jones flying around those bases. Some guys you just really like to watch when they run. Saberhagen helped himself off the end of the bat. Left-hander Yorkis Perez warming for the Fish. No balls and 2 strikes to Saberhagen. Thompson leading off at second. Back to the mound. And the toss over to first base will end the inning. But the Mets, with 2 runs in the top of the 7th inning, tie it all up. After 6.5, it's 3-3. Mets have tied it up, and that youngster has
it's over.
Better times.
She said, I don't care what Yogi said. It's over. By the way, how about that? Oh, boy.
Dad moved on her.
How about what Bob Papa said? Ed O'Banion now with the Nets. He's an exciting player. So that Jim Lamparella with the New Jersey Nets, I consider Jim a genius, along with Willis Reed.
Well, that is an excellent pick for them. Ball fouled off to the right side. Jeff Conine, he's 1 for 3 with an almost home run.
I'm kidding about Jim Lamparella, although he's a very nice guy.
I agree.
How about Joe Smith going #1? Here's a kid that when he came out of high school, he wanted to go to North Carolina. They didn't want him. He ended up going to Maryland and just took the nation by surprise.
On base percentage, Sheffield was, I guess he still is in the league, but Conine .423. Pitch way out of the strike zone. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Gary Sheffield out for the year in just a weird accident rounding second base. He tried to stop, and when he stopped, he put his thumb into the ground and dislocated his thumb. He's out for the season.
Saberhagen not staying on top the last couple of pitches. Talked about how he was trying to get that arm loosened up. Popped up, straight back, and out of play. Count goes full. 3 runs on 6 hits by the Mets. They've made 2 errors. And Florida, 3 runs on 10 hits. They haven't been given an error, but they certainly made one at third.
You wonder what runs through Bret Saberhagen's mind when he was at the Royals. He was a dominant player. Conine, a teammate of his. Now Conine is lighting him up in the National League.
He hits it hard and deep to center. Thompson roaming well. 1 down. And you can bet Saberhagen is breathing a little bit easier. And fans, day in and day out at home or on the road, you can always count on the great taste of Bud Light. It won't fill you up, and it never lets you down. So make it a Bud Light.
Bret Saberhagen in the first inning gave up a long fly ball to Jeff Conine. It was a great shot.
It truly was. Blew that bubble as he was waiting for it to come down, and then when it was caught, that little grin. Ball fouled off by Pendleton. He has struck out twice and got on an error.
Although Bret Saberhagen tonight has hit Charles Johnson, he's got to be comfortable to bat against because he has such good control and rarely throws at hitters.
It's considered a great challenge by the good hitters when you can face a guy like him. No balls and 2 strikes. He could get Pendleton for a hat trick.
By the way, I was telling a story before about Joe McElvain. I asked him, why would you want to trade Saberhagen? 30 years old, your #1 pitcher, 2 Cy Young awards. He said, that's our strength. Starting pitching in the minor leagues.
That time Pendleton holds up. He tried to get him to chase that running fastball outside.
I'm sure, and Joe didn't mention this, the salary would have a lot to do with it also.
Very true. You see, left-handed. That's where all the homers are. Again, Saberhagen not staying on top. He's slinging that ball a little bit. That means he is fatigued. Two balls and 2 strikes. High fly ball down the line. Orsulak makes the play right up against the fence.
Watch Saberhagen going towards the plate. This has not been a good night for Bret Saberhagen. He's given up 3 runs. Now watch how compact he is. He's a power pitcher. He has his body completely under control. And goes right towards the hitter. You see the fly ball and his reaction. He doesn't seem to get very excited about those fly balls. I mentioned the fly ball by Jeff Conine. Same appearance, relaxed.
And he misses with that fastball to the hawk.
As I mentioned, the power pitchers, usually when you're a catcher, you got to watch them. When they're throwing up high, they're trying to throw the ball too hard, and their mechanics are all fouled up. And he has very few problems with his mechanics.
Well, he's a little bit tired right now. He is fighting it as best he can.
If you're a manager and you think he's tired, he's your best pitcher, you gotta go get him.
With him every time Dallas has gone to that bullpen. Hasn't worked out so well. Strike called. He got a break there. He got a break. That ball, to me, is off the plate.
Well, you're at home and you're an umpire.
Two balls, 1 strike. High fly ball, shallow right side, and it's in foul territory, and Bronya has it. So he has battled his way through the bottom of the 7th inning. It's still tied 3-3. We'll be back. Pardon me.
Joe Orsulak steps in and takes.
Boy, Francis, you're in charge here. I've been going for a while here. I'm just going to keep going.
So 0-1 on Joe Orsulak as we go to the top of the 8th inning. Terry Pendleton on the grass. There's a chopper back to Burkett. He flips to first. 1 down.
Well, Saberhagen, after the inning, went in the dugout. See him talking to different people. That's Bill Pulsifer he's talking to. Okay. He's going to change. He likes to change that shirt a lot. Probably get a little more hot stuff on that shoulder, too.
And Jose Vizcaíno steps in. He struck out twice and flied out. And he's going to fly out for the 2nd time as Conine comes in and makes the play. Jeff Conine with a nice defensive play.
This is called full extension dive. He was playing deep, coming in. I don't know. I might give him about a 4-3 on that dive. What do you think?
That's how he plays his racquetball. World-class racquetball player.
Good belly.
And 2 quick outs. Burkett working rapidly. And now he'll pitch to Rico Bronya, who struck out and grounded out twice.
Saberhagen better get that extra shirt on in a hurry.
Saberhagen's like you. Even in cold weather, he doesn't like to wear that shirt underneath that baseball uniform. First pitch to Bronya inside.
You know, no matter how many sweatshirts you wear, you're cold. So why worry about them?
Never thought of it like that. As Bronya drives the ball to deep right center field. Dawson going back off the wall. Extra bases for Bronya. He goes into second base with a stand-up double. Just missing a home run.
Rico is Burkett. He's thrown that fastball tailing a number of times. This time Bronya did not miss it. It's going to hit off the wall. 2/3 of the way up there. Bounces off to Chuck Carr. Saberhagen looking at that ball. He was hoping it would sneak out of here, get that run. Now the Mets just have a runner in scoring position. How about Pulsifer? He's intense.
Well, he generated a lot of excitement here last night, pitching 7 1/3 innings, and he did a fine job picking up his first major league victory. Randy Veras throwing in the bullpen, and now this is a tough decision for Rene Lachemann. He's walking Bobby Bowe. He's going by the block, walking the left-hander to get to Jeff Kent. Kent in this ball game is 2 for 3, a single his first time up, a home run his last time up. Going by the book, walking Bobby Bowe, who's 1 for 3 in the game.
It was Veras that took the loss in last night's ball game. That play to first base, and that scored 2 runs. It was a hit and an error, a hit for Hundley, and an error on Veras throwing to Veras. It was a big difference in the game.
Okay, Rusty, you've been a manager. You've been second guessing for years. Tell me about this. Do you stay with Burkett, your money pitcher, or do you go to the bullpen?
I stay with Burkett right now.
Okay. Jeff Kent with the home run.
It's his game to lose. He's supposed to be the top pitcher on this ball club, just like Saberhagen.
You see what Kent has done against Burkett. Burkett called Johnson out. He probably said, look it. I don't know if you follow
Third base is open.
But be careful with this guy.
Third base is open.
Rene Lachemann, a guy who really uses the computer more so than most managers. He has that computer printout in the dugout. He has all kinds of documentation.
I think some of those computer readers are good if you spill a lot of soft drinks. You know.
What did Felipe Alou say? I know what they do. I don't need any computer telling me what they do. Well, it's up to Jeff Kent. It's been a fine ball game. Hope you're enjoying it. You're watching all the action on Sports Channel. Fran Healy with Rusty Staub. We're all tied at 3. Kent going the other way, fouling the ball off.
Now he should have been looking fastball in there. He got a fastball out over the plate, and he went outside and jerked the ball over the left field fence. You got to know that pitcher's coming in on you.
Pitchers never forget home runs. They never forget the pitch. 3-1 pitch inside again. 1-1.
Burkett's eyes were like saucers when he pulled that pitch that was on the maybe the outside last fifth of the plate. Kent jerked it over the American League sign.
It's all tied at 3 here in the 8th inning. They go away and Kent takes it for a ball. So right now it's 2-1 on Jeff Kent. You look location inside again, Mr. Staub?
I look for the fastball, okay, if I'm Kent. First off, again, hitting a home run isn't so important here. Getting the run in from second is. I do believe in trying to drive the ball in the gap, Francis. That's one of the key things that a good hitter does.
They miss inside with the heater again. Okay, so now it's 3-1. Jeff Kent has been hot tonight. Burkett knows it. On deck, Todd Hundley, who's 0 for 3, hit into a 5-4-3 double play, struck out and flied out. There's Todd.
If I'm Burkett, I don't give him much to hit. But if I'm Kent, I'm going to sit on one particular pitch. And if I don't get it, you got to take it.
Here's the 3-1 pitch. Swung at a ball.
Threw the fastball up and in, and Kent went for it.
The ball's out of the strike zone.
Yes, it is. That was ball 4. Again, controlled aggression. Aggression is good, but if it's uncontrolled, you're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Do you throw the palm ball?
Well, I don't give him a fastball a hit. I'll tell you that much. The runners are going to be taken off with this pitch.
I call for the palm ball. Inside with the heater. Bases are loaded for Todd Hundley. I'm telling you, Rusty, between a pitcher and a catcher, you play hunches with pitches you call because the guy's on deck. Now Rene Latchman is going out, and that's going to be off for John Burkett. The bases are loaded with Mets. This game has turned around after some sparkling defense by the Mets back in the 6th inning. So Rene Latchman going out, making a pitching change. With that in mind, this pitching change is called the bullpen is brought to you by MCI Long Distance.
Well, that is Mr. Veras. It's 3-3, middle of the 8th inning. All I can tell you is Randy Veras got the loss last night.
That's the good thing about being a relief pitcher and not falling into the doghouse. You get another shot at the game. He's in this ballgame. You see the 18 strikeouts in 25 innings. This is a big time for Randy Veras. You got Todd Hundley batting. The bases are loaded with Mets. We have 2 outs. We're in the top of the 8th inning. John Burkett was working rapidly and cruising right along.
This is the same setup last night, and Hundley won the game with a base hit off the glove of the first baseman Colburn. So the same pitcher and the same hitter facing each other.
Veras working from the stretch.
And we thought Burkett pitched correctly to Kent, and they took him out of the game because of it.
Yeah. Veras right there missing with the first pitch, ball 1. Oh, I thought Burkett pitched well. You got to go after Todd Hundley. And with the bases loaded, Todd Hundley has been pretty effective. 3 home runs, a 300 batting average. We'll see how he fares against Randy Veras. 1-0 pitch. Swung on and missed. 1-1.
Boy, chased a bad pitch there. He could have been really in the driver's seat. 2 balls and no strikes. Again, controlled aggression.
Bronya, Bonilla, Kent. 3 Mets. Hundley with the bat. Facing Randy Veras here in the top of the 8th inning with 2 men gone. Good pitch. Swung on and missed. 1-2. I asked Todd Hundley in a pregame show about Bill Pulsfer. What was more important, the hit he got in last night's game or the way Bill Pulsfer pitched as he caught? And as a good catcher, he said the way Bill Pulsfer caught. I should have said, now, can you tell me the truth? Here's the 1-2 pitch. Oh, nice play by Johnson. Real good play.
Veras had to come back with that pitch. Hundley went fishing for it the time before. It's coming all on the line. You know he doesn't want to go 3-2. As the hitter again, you should be thinking shortening up, making sure you make some contact. Give yourself a chance for success.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. And there's a looper down the right field line. Dawson, come in. It drops in. Base hit. 1 run scores. Here comes another. But he is safe. A big hit by Todd Hundley. And the Mets have taken the lead by 2 runs. How about that? 2 nights in a row for the Met catcher.
Well, he gets 2 RBIs. Again, Hawk, with those knees, cannot really get the kind of jump he used to. But not get in there. We talked about how deep the outfielders have been playing. Now, Hundley hits it high. This has a lot of hang time. Look how long it takes for that ball to come down. The Hawk just cannot get there.
It also looked like Hawk broke back initially.
Did not have a good first step.
So the Mets have taken a 2-run lead. You should look at Andre Dawson. Runners are on the corners for Chris Jones. It's 5-3. As you can see, we're in the top of the 8th inning with 2 outs. A 2-out single off the bat of Hundley. Chris Jones hits a long drive. Deep left field. And that ball's gone. Home run, Chris Jones.
Veras will have to wait another day to redeem himself. He got the start against the right-hander.
And the batter now, Ryan Thompson. How about that? I'll tell you, he only shows up when things get good. Huh? How about that, Rusty?
Well, Nelson Doubleday joining us in the booth here. Not a bad inning.
And Ryan Thompson with a 1-1 count. Well, Nelson Doubleday has to be happy about this ball game. What do you think?
Well, especially following the exciting victory of Bill Pulsifer last night. That's trying to get out of the cellar.
And the 1-1 pitch is up high to Ryan Thompson.
Let's check this home run out by Chris Jones. Veras just threw that fastball right in the zone. I'll tell you what, Chris Jones just killed it. Swing and a miss on that breaking ball.
So it's 2-2 now, Ryan Thompson. And Nelson Doubleday joining us in the booth. And Nelly, you have to be happy with what you're seeing down here in southern Florida.
Nice to be here.
You saw your young left-hander last night and some pretty good offense tonight.
And Ryan Thompson even took 1 ball.
Well, it's been a tremendous comeback for the New York Mets.
And your #1 pitcher, Bret Saberhagen, got a chance to win his 4th in a row.
That's super for him because he's pitched well.
He has battled tonight.
There's a hard hit ball in the left field. So Ryan Thompson picking up his 2nd hit of the game. So Nelson, you're down here for a few days on business following the team.
Yeah, no, I'm just down here today. I came down this afternoon. I'm here until tomorrow, and I've got a golf club meeting with Mr. Nicholas's golf clubs, and then I'm going back to New York tomorrow afternoon.
See that big sign on the highway here, 95, Nicholas?
That's right, and if Ralph Kiner was here, he'd probably be trying to beat me out of a couple of free golf clubs.
Rusty might do that before this is over.
Yeah, but Nelson doesn't make them for left-handers.
Not for you, Rusty.
Nelly saw me play one day. He says, I never want to see you swinging one of my clubs.
And he wasn't far from wrong.
Here's the 1-0 pitch, and Saberhagen fouls it off. Saberhagen tonight started off the game struggling a little bit. We had him on camera in the dugout. Now, when you and Fred Wilpon see a guy like Bret Saberhagen in the dugout having his shoulder rubbed down, are you concerned?
No, because most of those guys are especially Bret, is such a fine-tuned racehorse that anything you can do to help him, you do.
Okay, here's the one pitch, and Saberhagen fouls the ball off. We just had a shot on the monitor of Chris Jones catching everybody by surprise with this Met organization.
Well, he's been down there, and he came up, and he's done well, and that's part of the things to come.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's impressed a lot of people, especially with tonight's game. He's going to get a little more of a shot at facing some of those right-handed pitchers.
And it's 1-2 on Bret Saberhagen. Breaking ball misses outside.
I think Mr. Saberhagen thinks he's a hitter, not a pitcher.
Boy, he looked good on defense tonight. I thought the defense in the 6th inning kind of generated a lot of excitement for the Mets. They came back and scored some runs in the 7th.
But how about Pulsifer in the 1st inning last night?
Well, he looked good last night. And there's a foul ball. Pulsifer working out of a jam last night, going on to get his first major league victory. Any concern when you saw his first 2 outings, or did you have all the confidence in the world in him?
I had all the confidence in the world because Joe McIlvaine had confidence in it. When Joe has confidence, I have confidence.
There's Bill Pulsifer right down there in the middle. And he's sitting between Chris Jones and Edgardo Alfonso.
Alfonso has that glove in his hand. He might be coming in for defense.
2-2 on Bret Saberhagen. Down and in, 3-2. Joe McIlvaine, Nelson, told me before the game that he thinks the world of Pulsifer, but he feels that Jason Isringhausen and Paul Wilson will be better pitchers. You got to be optimistic about your future.
Well, I am, and I think that it's a tribute to Mr. McIlvaine that he feels that way.
Well, that's the final out of the inning, but the Mets have scored, and they've scored big. We played 7.5, and it's 8-3 New York. Well, Bret Saberhagen hasn't cruised along tonight, but he has a lead. It's 8-3. The New York Mets on top of the Florida Marlins. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning. It'll be Greg Colburn, Kurt Abbott, and then Charles Johnson. The first pitch to Colburn is a strike, so it's 0-1. A lot of times you see Colburn 0 for 3 tonight, Rusty. A lot of times you see a guy get it together once he gets a lead like this, a guy like Saberhagen.
Well, again, on that one, he wasn't on top. He has battled this whole evening. You know, he's pushing himself to the limit here.
And the 1-1 pitch up high. We've been joined in the booth by Nelson Doubleday, one of the owners with the New York Mets. And Nelson, every time we see you, it seems like that particular day in the paper, there's an article about a basic agreement.
I wish there was.
You know how long it'll take? Nobody knows?
Nobody knows, and it's a primary thing that we got to get. We've got to get a basic agreement with the players and the union, and I think they feel that way. I think we feel that way, and we just got to do it, and then everything flows from that.
Just got to get that plank in the room, Nelson. You know,
pardon?
The plank that you hit people in the middle of the forehead to get their attention.
Here's the 2-2 pitch. It's fouled back. So we'll do it again in 2-2. So you're in town to talk golf, but you're over here watching baseball. Jack Nicklaus, your partner, is he a big baseball fan?
Yes, he comes to baseball games, and he's up playing in the Seniors Open up in Maryland this weekend, and I wish him well.
That's the big tournament for the seniors.
Yeah.
Saw the stats on Saberhagen. He could pick up his 4th straight victory tonight. There's a ground ball to short. Vizcaíno over to Bronya. Nice pick. Scored 6-3. 1 down. And Friday night, right here on Sports Channel, it'll be Davey Johnson's Cincinnati Reds and his assistant manager Ray Knight against those New York Mets. That's Friday at 7:30 now. Sports Authority's game time will be at 7 p.m. That's live and exclusive right here on Sports Channel. Keep in mind, tomorrow night right here on Sports Channel, Rusty's at the Plate will have Davey Johnson and Dallas Green.
That should be interesting.
It'll be a very interesting show. Edgardo Alfonso at second base for Jeff Kent as Kurt Abbott takes ball 2. So it's 2-0 on the Marlins shortstop. takes a strike. Nelly, when you're watching the Mets, are you well aware of what's going on in the minor league system? Do the owners, I mean, they care about the development, but do they follow it on a daily basis in the minor leagues?
Not really on a daily basis. We rely on the McIlvains and the Gary Hunsikers of the world to tell us what's going on.
It's 2-2 now on Kurt Abbott. Abbott with a 2-run home run in his ballgame. He struck out. He's also single. Nelly just mentioned Joe McIlvain. We were talking to Joe about Kurt Abbott. So he's turned into quite a shortstop, or a good shortstop in the major leagues. He's had the luxury of developing in the big leagues. There's a drive to right field. Chris Jones out there makes the play. 2 outs. Beautiful night for a ball game, especially if you're a Met fan. The Mets are up 8-3. It started off, the Mets were trailing 3-0. John Burkett was in control. Mets chipped away to get 1 run, and then in the 6th inning, 2 sparkling defensive plays, and it ignited the offense.
It certainly did.
Look at Charles Johnson, a young catcher with the Marlins, takes a strike. #1 draft pick. Then he held out for some big money with the Marlins. He has developed into a major league player. He pops this ball up. Bret Saberhagen is taking control, but Bobby Phenia calls him off. And that'll do it for the Marlins. Here in the 8th inning, they fail to score. We've played 8 here in Florida, and it's 8-3 New York. Nelly, we were talking about Bret Saberhagen, and you know there's been some talk about Saberhagen being traded and John Franco being traded. Phenia, what do you feel?
I think that's just frustration. It's been a kind of a frustrating beginning of the year for us, and I think we were talking about it a minute ago. I think the Mets have hit the ball hard, and it's always gone at somebody. The opposition's hit the ball hard and found a hole, and I think things are going to start turning around. They're a much better team than they've shown, and I think the frustration of losing a lot of games that they should have won is showing on a bunch of veterans, and I don't think they're basically unhappy.
So if they're not unhappy, are the Mets, will they be content to keep them, or if the right deal comes along, will they trade them?
If the right deal comes along, yes, but I don't think we're out shopping them, and I don't think that what I read in New York this morning, these guys are particularly, they've kind of retracted their interest in saying, hey, we want out of New York. New York's probably the #1 sports market.
You know, one of the great things about a Bret Saberhagen, with all the young kids that are coming up, we made a point of this yesterday. Saberhagen is a great guy for those pitchers to look at, to emulate someone who is a very, very proficient major league pitcher.
And the batter now, Jose Vizcaino. In this ball game, Vizcaino struck out twice and flied out twice.
Well, Rusty, it's a little bit like when we all went to school, we learned from the senior best teacher, and you kind of respected him. And I think that's true of the veterans on the Mets. You learn from them and you respect them.
Well, it's 1-1 on Jose Vizcaino. It's been all Mets tonight. Well, I shouldn't say all Mets tonight. The Marlins did the job early in the game. The Mets came back. They've done a fine job tonight. Vizcaino taking a ball, so it's 2-1 on the Mets shortstop. And a 2-1 pitch. Outside, 3 balls and 1 strike. Nelson Doubleday and Rusty Staub just talking about Bret Saberhagen. It has not been an easy night for Bret Saberhagen, but he's fought through it. He can pick up his 4th straight victory. 3-1 pitch. Here's a fly ball. Right center field. Andre Dawson in pursuit. It drops. Vizcaino can move. He's on his way for 3. And he should make it easily. So a triple off the bat of Jose Vizcaino. And here in the top of the 9th inning, it's New York 8, Florida 3.
Travel arranged through U.S. Air with nearly
There's a score, 8-3. Mets on top of the Marlins. Vizcaino on third base. One man out. The batter, Rico Brogna. There's Jose Vizcaino. Infield in as Brogna takes a strike. Nelson Doubleday with Rusty Staub in the Sports Channel broadcast booth. And Nelson, when you trade a player, does that hurt?
Yes and no. I mean, if somebody been around for a long time or somebody that's been a special pal, yes, it does. But this is a game, and this is what happens, and it's to be expected. And I would never, ever, neither would Freddie, ever get involved in saying, no, you can't trade a player if Joe McIlvaine wanted to do it. He's in charge of the baseball, and that's the way it is.
0-2 on Rico Brogna. He takes inside. 1-2. Do you and Fred Wilpon have friends that are players, or are they your players?
There are players, and we know a few of them. We've seen a few of them. Bret, John Franco, and people like that who've been around for a few years. Yes, and yeah, but it is important that we let the baseball people run the operation.
Well, you just struck out, so 2 men down here in the 9th inning. You're looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning for the Marlins. It'll be a pinch hitter. Then they'll go to the top of the order. Silvio Veras and then Chuck Carr, unless they have some pinch hitters waiting in the wings. You're looking now at Bobby Bonilla, one of those guys who have been rumored to be on the trading block, Nelson.
Oh, Bobby Bo is just a wonderful man. I mean, he's done so much for us, and he's done so much for Make-A-Wish and in New York and with the kids. I don't see that happening, and I don't see Bobby Bonilla getting mad and saying, trade me or else. I just don't see that happening.
He has a 1-0 count. Vizcaino leading off third, swung on and missed. It's 1-1. The scene here, if you just tuned in, we're at Joe Robbie Stadium. You're watching all the action on Sports Channel. It's 8-3, Mets on top of the Marlins. This is the rubber game. If the Mets win this game, they come out of last place. And the 1-1 pitch is a drive to left field. Conine is there and makes the grab for out number 3. So the Mets fail to score. They strand one. We go to the bottom of 9th inning. 8-3 New York.
Don't miss it.
A lot of excitement those Devils provided this hockey season. 8-3, the Mets on top of the Marlins. We are in the bottom of the 9th inning. Tommy Gregg, the batter,
Crashes at it again.
He's got an
pinch hitting
and an 0-2 count. Rusty, as a pinch hitter, the game's 8-3. The manager says go up there and hit. Is there any difference emotionally for a pinch hitter?
Well, you don't get the easy adrenaline rush when the game is on the line. You just have to concentrate. You know, again, if you really work at it the right way, it shouldn't be a whole lot different. It's just you have to generate that adrenaline yourself instead of having it there if the game is on the line.
1-2 pitch. Tommy Gregg goes down swinging, so Crash is out. 1 down. As Crash makes his way back to the dugout, I'd like to tell you a great way to reward yourself after the game is with the fresh, pure, natural taste of Ice Cold Budweiser. Proud to be your bud.
I'll tell you what, Bret Saberhagen has really pulled his neck here tonight. Not have his best stuff and is just going to go get him.
Well, Silvio Veras just took a strike from Bret Saberhagen. I'll tell you one. Bret Saberhagen was terrific. If you just tuned in, he was terrific as a defensive player. He made some sparkling plays. Just stay with us. Hopefully we'll get Bret for an interview after the game and maybe let you see those plays. They were terrific, and I thought, Rusty, it just generated some excitement in that Met dugout. Saberhagen with the flip to Hundley on the first play and a bang-bang play at the plate. And then a terrific play to end the inning, beating Chuck Carr to first base. Ferris takes inside, so it's 2-1 on the Marlins second baseman.
It was back-to-back terrific plays to end that 6th inning that Francis was talking about. Saberhagen did it.
Ferris pulls the ball to the right side. Alfonso to first. 2 down. Now you see Alfonso at second base. We've seen him play third base. Past couple nights, shortstop. Don't you like him more as an everyday player than as a utility player?
Well, I think they're just trying to make sure that he gets his at-bats and gets in as many games as they can. You know, you never know what the Mets are going to do. They are experimenting here and there, trying to see where guys can fit in. And Edgardo has fit in every place he's been.
And Chuck Carr's the batter. He takes a strike. So it's 0-1 on the former Met. He's 1 for 4 in this game. He singled his second at bat. Single to left field. Right back to Saberhagen. This should do it. And is that a fitting ending for Bret Saberhagen to catch the ball off the bat of Chuck Carr, who he beat to first base in the 6th inning and generated some excitement. The offense took over, and the Mets go on to win this ball game 8-3. Saberhagen winning his 4th straight ball game. So Bret Saberhagen, the winning pitcher, final score 8-3. Now let's go back to our Game Time studios, but stay with us. We'll be back here. Take it, Bob.
All right, thank you very much, Fran. A very good win for the Mets. They take 2 of 3 against the Marlins and string together 2 consecutive victories. Solid, gutty performance by Bret Saberhagen. And speaking of guts and glory, that's what the New Jersey Devils had on display tonight as they celebrated their Stanley Cup. We will have a complete replay of the ceremony immediately following the post-game edition of the Sports Authority Game Time, plus the NBA draft and the rest of the baseball highlights after this timeout, and more from Joe Robbie Stadium. The final score, the New York Mets with an 8-3 win over the Marlins.
Sports Channel and Coors Light invite you to tap the Rockies with the Mets in Colorado. This is your chance to travel to Colorado and watch the Mets battle the Rockies. See the new Coors Field, tour the Coors Brewery, and take in 2 Met games July 21st and 22nd. Send a 3x5 card with your name, address, and daytime phone to Sports Channel, Coors Light Sweepstakes, P.O. Box 234, Woodbury, New York 11797. Entries must be received by July 13th. Tap the Rockies with the Mets and Coors Light.